heard a story about a little girl who was playing hide and seek with her friends. And she went off to hide all excited, but her friends decided they were going to play a trick on her. They just disappeared and left her on her own. After a while, she realised they'd done that and she got quite upset, as you can imagine. So she came running out and sought her father and said, "Daddy, Daddy, I was hiding and they didn't try to find me." And he gathered her up into his arms and he said, "There, okay, darling, God understands. In fact, he understands better than you realise." You see, many people seem to have given up on God. And perhaps that's because they were expecting him to show up in ways that would leave them in no doubt of his existence. And I can understand that. But you would have thought that if there is a God who's the creator, the architect of the universe, the sustainer of everything that is, then he would have made that very clear. A God who's given us responsibility and gifts that we need to care for his creation and for one another. A God who cares deeply for us and who cares about who we are and sees what we can become. You would have thought this God would have made himself plain. You would have thought that this God wouldn't have left any room for us to think that he didn't exist, for people to say that God is a delusion or an illusion, or for there to be all sorts of competing ideas about faith. Why would he let us debate over his reality? Why would he let us wonder about his absence in the face of tragedy or trauma? But you see, the heart of Christmas, the truth of Christmas, is that there is a God and he has come into his world and he's shown us who he is in the person of Jesus. But he didn't do it in the way that we would have been expecting. There was no royal proclamation which rang out across the globe. There were no bumper issues of Hello or OK magazine or even the Swindon Advertiser full of the details. There was no docudrama, DVD or newscasting. And the world largely went on as it always had done for millennia before Jesus' birth. And after Jesus' life, his teachings, the amazing things he did, and his incredible death and resurrection, again the world continued. But everything had changed because of that first Christmas. For those who looked more closely, who listened and puzzled about who this Jesus could have been, those who were prepared to keep following the leads, to keep searching, they discovered that God had truly made himself known. And those events of that first Christmas give us an appreciation of a God who is so different from so many notions of God that people have. Through Jesus, the Christmas child, we're invited to discover a God who loves us, who gives himself to us, who is truly with us and alongside us and beside us in whatever we face. He trusts himself to us and he empties himself of his power to show us who he really is. You know, sometimes I've been looking for something and it's been under my nose all the time. Maybe that's how it is for God and you. And you've been looking so closely when God is just there. And maybe this Christmas he wants you to discover that. I hope and pray that you have a truly wonderful Christmas in 2009.